Hello, welcome back. I am Ben the Bold, and this is another episode of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Today we're going to be taking on quite a complicated mission here. We're going to be taking on the Pre-Dreadnought Conflict. All right, so it's a little complicated in how this works, but basically we are going to reinforce a ally fleet with hopefully the right ships. The enemy is near with a combined force of pre-dreadnoughts, old cruisers, and torpedo boats. Visibility and reconnaissance, it says, will be vital for this mission, as we must trace the enemy fleet first to gain tactical superiority. At least that's what it says. Your friendly forces include some cruisers and torpedo boats. And then it asks the question, will we spend our resources on constructing a few pre-dreadnoughts, or will we increase our numbers with more light ships? So, looks like we can either build a couple battleships, maybe just one heavy battleship, or a couple heavy cruisers. We have $10 million to do it. We could, of course, get $2 million more by clicking on the More Funds button. We are taking on a fleet of, it looks like, 2 battleships, a heavy cruiser, a light cruiser, and 3 torpedo boats. And we have to sink only 75% of the enemies, not all of them. And we have 120 minutes to do it. But here's the kicker. We have to keep 40% of our allies alive. Now, I don't necessarily know if that means my ships are counted towards that. For instance, if I built just a whole bunch of light, heavy cruisers and I lost a couple of them, but don't lose the ally fleet. I don't necessarily know, would that count against our 40%? We'll have to see. It says that it's important to emphasize our reconnaissance, but I don't think... Oh, so I could hit maneuverability and survivability. No, wait, I thought for a second that top one was reconnaissance. It's actually resistance. Whoops. So it doesn't appear that we necessarily have any kind of tech bonus that could help us with reconnaissance. So I think I'm going to go... I personally have found that this enhanced firepower has been very helpful in some of our earlier missions. So I'm going to go ahead and do enhanced firepower instead of more funds, instead of mixed technologies. Let's keep it going with enhanced firepower, see what we got. Okay, so these are the ship models that it gives us. I can either build an Armored Cruiser 1. Ooh, that thing is so tiny. An Armored Cruiser 2, or an old pre-Dreadnought. I think I'm going to try to build... Let's try to build maybe 2 old pre-Dreadnoughts. See what we can do with that, and then just see how it works. We are American ships, so let's see what I can build if I can get 2 of these old pre-Dreadnoughts. So this is what I've come up with, and let me go ahead and just preface this by saying I hate this ship. I don't like it. It is not near as cool as some of the ships we've been making lately, although maybe it will be good enough. Maybe I'll come to love it during this scenario. But basically, it was really tough to deal with this weight limit that I had. I mean, the biggest displacement that I can create is 11,500 tons, and as you can see, I'm coming in just under that at this point. I might even try to, add one more little bit of deck armor. One more little bit of conning tower armor. Turret top, maybe. No. Maybe this is just where I am. Ooh, right there. 11,500 tons. We are hitting the displacement on the edge. I had to even decrease the speed down to 18 knots just to do this, and I don't think that's a good plan for what we're going up against. I don't like the fact that we had to reduce the speed. I also couldn't go with the gun size that I wanted. I'm going with 10-inch guns instead of 13. Maybe I should even think about making that a little bit smaller, but I have these 10-inch double-barrel turrets. They're okay, I guess. I do have some torpedoes. I could save some money or some weight on the torpedoes if I took them off, but I mean, at this point, I might need the torpedoes just to help me sink any ship that I come across. The only towers I had available, it said I needed, to really definitely make sure I prioritize reconnaissance, but then it only gives me this front tower 1 and rear tower 2. Those are the towers I had to go with, so my reconnaissance isn't going to be that great. This is not necessarily the greatest ship in the world, but let us see if it can take on this scenario. So here we are with our battleship Idaho. We just identified the targets off to the south. We're going to go ahead and steam full ahead and go and try to check them out. Let's try to figure out what kind of ships we're going against. Okay, let me introduce you to the battleship Santiago El Mayor. It is a... Okay, so its top speed is actually less than mine, so maybe if I do fail this challenge, I wouldn't be super upset about reducing my speed even farther. It is quite a bit larger than my vessel too. As I said, the largest vessel I could make with that type of hull was 11,500 tons. This has a displacement of 14,200 tons. It has 12-inch guns, and it looks to have 4 barrels of them. So I do have 6 barrels of 10-inch guns, so maybe my increased amount of fire plus those 12-inch guns are going to reload fairly slow. Oh, we just miss them there. It does have lots of 6-inch guns and 4 inches as well. Probably has, you know, a nice little broadside of casemates there. So I'm not feeling too bad. I just need to focus fire down the battleships. Let's see if the Neptuno... Alright, so the Neptuno is actually a little different. It has a top speed of 17 knots, so we still actually outspeed it. And it has smaller guns. It has 9-inch guns. So I'm feeling pretty good about our ability to take on the Neptuno, even though... Oh, and it has very few bulkheads, so a couple shots to make them start flooding is going to definitely help. And in fact, you can see maybe they're flooding a little bit already. I mean, no, they haven't been hit. It's just their hull keeps dipping below the waterline. We have a light cruiser, the Herman Cortez. Let's try to hit it with maybe some of our light cruisers. Yeah, it seems like our screening light cruisers are taking on their screens. Perfect. Let's have you focus your fire on the Cortez as well. Okay, so it seems like they only want to... Alright, yeah, now they'll both fire on the Cortez. The fact that the Santiago El Mayor only has minimum bulkheads might actually be to our advantage, as we have started to hit them below the waterline and cause a little bit of flooding on their ship with... Yep, with fewer bulkheads means that they will go down faster. Oh, that's actually the light cruiser. For a second I thought the Santiago El Mayor had actually sunk, but no, that's perfect. Looks like the light cruiser is going to go down. We will focus fire our light cruisers onto their other light cruiser, the Novara, and we will continue to have our battleships try to pummel the Santiago El Mayor. With its minimal bulkheads, we think we should be able to get some flooding damage on it, hopefully if we can get a few more lucky shots. Unfortunately, one of our heavy cruisers has sunk due to heavy structural damage. I don't really know what happened there. It seemed like he was doing fine, and then all of a sudden I got the alert saying that it was done. So let's get this light cruiser kind of out of dodge a little bit. It's a little farther forward than I would like. I'm okay with these torpedo boats being where they are, but let's push it back more towards our battleships. That was a heavy blow for our Navy. And unfortunately, we've also lost our second little cruiser, the light cruiser. What was its name? I already forgot. The light cruiser Long Beach has unfortunately gone down. We put it out there in harm's way. They did a good job focus firing it down while we were concentrating on their battleship. With that said, the Santiago El Mayor is struggling to stay afloat. It has heavy fires. It is listing heavily. If we can sink it, I think we'll be in good shape. I might just go ahead and try to get because if I lose 40% of my ships, this scenario is done. So I might just try to get my little torpedo boats out of dodge for a little while and instead have them focus more of their attention towards my battleships. I feel good if it's a battleship on battleship target. I don't feel good if I lose another one of these torpedo boats. Yeah, and it looks like they're playing it smart. They're going after the torpedo boat. It appears that the Santiago's decision to go with minimum bulkheads is really coming back to bite it, as they just took a ton of flooding damage, and hopefully we'll take some more damage there. They are really struggling to stay afloat as I try to keep them away from my torpedo boats. They did get one lucky hit off on the Idaho. They started a fire. My crews were able to put that out, thankfully. And now we are concentrating on taking down the rest of, well, the last little bit of health that the Santiago has, and then we'll probably focus on their heavy cruiser. Again, we only have to sink 75% of their fleet. A little worried about what these torpedo boats are going to do. I just hope that... I will be so mad if I'm able to sink their entire fleet except for like one torpedo boat, or two torpedo boats, and they just go flying off and just, you know, run away from me, and I can't catch up to them, so they end up drawing the scenario or winning the scenario. Either way, let's continue to just pummel the Santiago. Hopefully it will go down momentarily, and I won't take too much more damage to either one of my battleships. Speaking of, I should probably bring my torpedo boats a little closer to my battleships. Okay, and it's time for this ship to go ahead and go down. I have just kept hitting it and hitting it. It just, I mean, it's dead by all intents and purposes. Let's check out the damage that has been done to it. Look at this ship. It has a huge amount of flooding. Surely they can't even get to their guns anymore because their guns are practically underwater. With that said, I will continue to just kind of pummel it. And not much is happening. I'm not doing a ton of damage to it anymore. Maybe I should get one of these torpedo boats to come and try to lay a torpedo into it. Meanwhile, it does actually get a shot off at the Idaho. I don't want too many more of those. Let's go ahead and sink this guy, shall we? And indeed, their largest battleship in the scenario has sunk. It is going down with all hands. You can see... Maybe they'll put their ships out, or their little lifeboats out. Yeah, it looks like they've launched their lifeboats. Our torpedo boats are going to try to hit one of their torpedo boats, the Azor. That's fine, but really it's our battleships that I'm worried about, because they need to go and try to catch these ships, the Navarre especially. We've just got some huge hits off against their Azor. You can tell I definitely wouldn't want to be on that vessel anymore because it is completely on fire. And indeed, there it goes. Sank. And now it looks like our battleships are actually going to auto-default onto a following torpedo boat. I'm okay with that. We're a little far away from some of their other ships. We are trying to give chase towards their heavy cruiser as well as their other battleship. It seems like they want to run away, but again, I believe my vessels are, well, they may not be faster. They've taken some damage. Looks like we had an ammo detonation on one of their torpedo boats. I have to break off my two torpedo boats to try to deal with that. As you can tell, the torpedo boat Hatteras it has a lot of damage done to it, and one of their boats has slipped off into obscurity. It seems like the Spanish fleet is willing to just run away from me, which I do not want, and I'm not happy about. I'm hoping that if I can bring down this torpedo boat plus this other, and I can kind of see where they're shooting from, so plus this other vessel here. In fact, I should probably just detach the ship that is not hurt because it can move faster. Let's put it as fast as it can go and try to chase the Spanish torpedo boat. You, unfortunately... If you can just sink the Recalled, I'll be happy with it. Just go down, go under, please. You. Attack at flank speed. Let's get there. Their torpedo boat has sunk. We've lost the other one. It's somewhere out here. And unfortunately, I think the Spanish are just going to run away from us over here. We're going to be able to catch the Navarre. The Navarra, but probably not the Neptune, their big battleship. Thankfully, the Hilo was able to catch up with their... Oh no, but the Hatteras is sunk due to structural damage. Okay, that doesn't end the scenario, it appears, which is good. We have definitely lost more than 40% of our allied fleet, but with our fleet still intact, our two battleships, we still are able to continue on in the scenario. If we can sink this vessel plus their heavy cruiser, then we don't even have to worry about catching their battleship, but we have to sink this thing. They are going to take some flooding. That's good. As long as they don't just get a lucky hit on the Hilo, we should be fine, right? The Hilo's in better shape, that's for sure. It has a better engine. Let's just pull up alongside and sink a torpedo into it, shall we? I'm going to go back down to normal speed. I'm going to go check on the Idaho. Let's make sure we're just chasing down the heavy cruiser. It's 3.4 kilometers away, but it's taken on a lot of water, so it's not moving as quickly as it could. Let's go back to the Hilo. This is the real chase on the high seas that we need to watch. We've caught it on fire. Again, let's just pull up alongside, shoot a torpedo off into it, shall we? Come on, Hilo. You can do it! You can do it. Go to faster speed. Sink it. Sink it. We have a torpedo in the water. It's gonna hit, and boom. There's surely no way it can survive that, right? Of course, I've said that, and it is still kicking. As long as they don't shoot a torpedo at me, it's got to go under. Come on, Hilo. There it is. It's gone under. Let's just send the Hilo back towards its other companions, and let's see if we can catch this heavy cruiser. Well, we are a little bit closer. Last time we were watching the heavy cruiser, they were 3.4 kilometers away. Now they're only 3.3. We are hitting them. We are making progress. They only have two 9-inch gun, or they only have a few 9-inch guns. Ooh, that's going to do us some good. Let's just take a look at the cruiser itself. It is sailing away. It wants no part of the American Navy. It can only fire at us with one gun. Of course, we are not necessarily hitting it super well either. Let's see if any of this volley does it. Nope. Well, let's speed up this video, see if we can catch them. And the Navarre is going to sink. I do not have to sink that last ship because I only have to sink 75% of their vessels. So these two battleships that in case you don't remember, when I first introduced you to them, I thought that they were just garbage. I did not like them. I thought they were going to fail. They actually came up kind of clutch for us. They were great. Again, I think the enhancing of the firepower just made them all that more impactful in the battle. They were able to really focus fire in on the real threat, which was that battleship Santiago. They were able to sink it, neutralize it pretty well. I gotta say, shout out to the torpedo boats. They came in clutch. They were able to sink. Between the two of them, they contributed in sinking all three of the enemy torpedo boats. And again, if we hadn't caught that last torpedo boat there at the end, we would have had the battleship go one way, the torpedo boats going the other way, and I would have definitely lost that scenario because I just would not have been able to catch them. But the torpedo boats, they were durable enough to get the job done. But no, MVP of the battle definitely goes to our two battleships. Alright, so this has been Pre-Dreadnought Conflict. I'm kind of surprised I got that one on the first try. In our next episode, we will be taking on destroyers versus torpedo boats. Basically, our job is to escort a battleship that is under attack by 2 cruisers and 10 torpedo boats. So we will build a destroyer or maybe a couple destroyers, and we will try to protect a battleship from quite a hefty enemy fleet. I'm excited about it. You should definitely tune in next time. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you liked what you saw today, be sure and give me a like. And I will see you on the next one for some destroyers versus torpedo boats.